In this video, we're going to talk a little bit about some NCAA data and do some Pandas work to add columns to a data frame. So first thing we see is this information about Kim Pomeroy, and you'll see throughout the tournament that his name is used a lot when it comes to seats of where people should be placed and then how they'll do against each other based on all this data. So the first thing we want to do is import our standard packages, pandas as PD, import, let's say Seaborn as SNS, import matplotlib, pyplot as PLT, and that should get us started. Import our data frame. Here's our CSV that will get us some information, df.head, see what that data looks like. Okay, and then it says, here's the data that's there. We see the different columns, we see some information. And this was the case for a number of years where the possessions was not calculated. So he created this equation, the field goal attempts minus the offensive rebounds, plus the turnovers, plus and he kind of made a thing like this. So let's make a new column that is df called possessions. Possessions is equal to df.fga minus fdf.or plus df.ta. And again, we could obviously be doing this with 0.475 times df.fta. We could be doing it with brackets, but because we're doing this a lot, we're just going to ignore and use it in this format. None of these have spaces, so you can see team all the way across, none of them have spaces, so it doesn't need to have brackets when we can do this dot notation. So we have a new column called possessions. Create the new column. Which 5 teams in the ACC have the highest possession? So let's do a df.sort values by possession. Sort values by possessions, plural. All right, so we see that number is ascending, so we want the highest, and can say ascending equals false. Southern Missouri State looks like it has the highest, so we want to do it just where the ACC, so where conference, column, where the conference is equal to ACC. I see the column ACC, all of these look filtered out, and Florida, all these look like this. If we want to see just the top 5, dot head. Great. Now I want to do the same thing for the lowest. So I'm going to say same thing, but it says where that column SEC, ascending, is true possessions. So low numbers getting higher, that makes sense. All of them say SEC, that looks great. Okay, now we're going to do another equation. So I can see kind of the format. I'm going to do the name of the column I want, all the columns in that equation, df.head. So I'm going to do that here. df offense is equal to df points scored over the column we just made, df.possessions per 100 possessions. So let's do possessions divided by 100, df.head. Great. Which teams in the Big Ten, and I'm going to copy the same thing up here because this is going to get used a lot. So which 12 teams, sort by adjusted ADJO, had the highest? Ascending is false. Conference is Big 12. That looks like that's working. It's descending. That looks great. Now I need the Big 10, had the lowest. Ascending is true. And if I run this, Big 10 think that it's spelled out as 10. Had the lowest. Again, they are getting higher. That looks like that's working. Adjusted defense. Points allowed. Oop. Defense. Need to run this again. Adjusted defense. I see a column here per 100. There we go. Points allowed over for every 100 possessions. It's allowed per 100 possessions. Yeah, I don't know that the parentheses really matter, but whatever. So now I'm going to do the same thing I've got up here. Pick a conference, pick a topic, pick ascending or descending. Ascending is false. Conference just says which team had the highest. So we don't even need our filtering. Had the highest adjusted defense. Team of 1. In this case, Green Bay. Which conference had the lowest average? So we're going to need to do a group by conference. And let's just see what that's going to look like. Let's do average, so mean. Had the lowest ADJ. So then sort values by ADJ. Ascending is true, lowest. The WAC had the lowest average ADJ. Yep. Adjusted tempo. So now we're going to do the same thing, possessions over games played. So adjusted tempo is equal to possessions over df.gp. And I can get rid of this part. df.head. I see a column now, adjusted tempo. Which team had the highest? So look at kind of how I did this here. Sort it by that column. What's the number 1? T. South Carolina ascending is true. No, ascending is false. That's right. So looks like those are good. Yep. Which conference had the highest adjusted? So I'm going to then look at how I group by conference average. Let's do the highest. Maybe the highest average or the highest total. If we did a max of that conference, what's the max in every team in a conference? What team had the max becomes the conference max for the column T. Ascending had the highest. Oh wait, this question asks what team had the lowest, so we kind of flipped, right? So lowest is true. Would be North Texas has a low adjusted tempo. Must mean that they don't score a lot. They have a low number of possessions per game, which probably means they don't have a lot of scores, which looking at our chart up here, that makes some sense. Ascending is false. Number 1, this conference had the team. Yeah, so that could do that. The team with the highest adjusted. If we do the average mean, so this is the conference average, the Southland Conference had that, is the average pace, is the highest average. Right, something like that. Now we do this with the Pythagorean winning percentage. So he does a very complicated equation here where we're taking something to the, and remember in Python that it's two exponent symbols, or asterisks, right? Adjusted EM is the df dot 8 adjusted O times 11.5 divided by, same thing, plus adjusted defense times 11 to the 11.5 adjusted defense. And then let's wrap these in parentheses here, and adjust EM, df dot head. So we should see a new column that looks like that. Which Big East school has the lowest? So I'm going to kind of copy something I've got up here that when I grouped it by a team. Conference, grab that. Which Big East conference is equal to Big East, sorted by adjusted EM, ascending is true, had the lowest one. Georgetown, low adjusted EMT. Which conference has, so I'm going to do a group by conference, which has the highest, again, max adjusted EM. Wichita has the highest adjusted, so really fast-paced team. Mean that Big 12 on average, as a conference average, has a very fast, EM is the winning percentage based on this equation, the expected winning percentage. So this might be a good way to think about what equation are you going to use to do something with this data. And down here, we're going to talk about, you can make a formula that you think will do some sort of equation. So we saw the example, this kind of this equation that he's got adjusted different things. How many of these things does it matter, or do you think you would need to do on top of your rating? So if I were to make my own rating, or rank, we'll just call it GR, is equal to that, and maybe I think, you know what, I think the games played means more. So I'm going to like factor in how many games do they have played compared to like maybe the max of that range, right? So what is the max in the max of games played? So how many games do they have compared to the max? Close parenthesis, open parenthesis, one more close parenthesis, and df.head, see what that looks like. And now I have a number here that I could then sort by, right? So sort by this new column I just made, sort values by rank GR. Ascending, I'm going to keep it ascending as true. Let's do false. So the higher the score here, the better. I don't like where that's given me, right? Because if I look at this as my list of 64 teams, maybe I really want to factor in something else. This is teams that had the most games played get multiplied more strongly. 31 games. These teams played a lot, but they're not doing very well as far as the win percentage. So I don't really like where that is. But again, that could give me something to share CSV, and I can then print this out. So that's kind of what our goal is by making some algorithm here. And I think what we'll do is we'll probably just skip the function and the charts today and see if we can do something with those charts and that information in Tableau probably on Monday once we have the winning group. So that's our code project for tomorrow, and if you have any questions, good luck.